Ooh. Sorry, my ears are starting to cauliflower are in need of being drained, and the headphones aren't helping. So, I'm here again. Gonna be talking about kind of just some random crap. Some of the highlight topics: Fedor Emelianenko, M1, and Vanderlei Silva versus Chuck Liddell, and Rashad Evans, Michael Bisping. Will probably work its way in there. First up, Dana White confirmed this evening that at UFC 79 Nemesis, which is not a bad name actually. Problem is, you get one good name for every like 10 UFC pay-per-views, so it is what it is. Will be Vanderlei Silva versus Chuck Liddell. This is the worst time for this fight to be happening. I'm going to be quite honest. There were a lot of times when this fight would have been golden. Could not do any wrong. It would have been the greatest, not the greatest, but a huge fight in MMA. And right now, of course, you got Chuck coming off loss to Keith Jardine and coming off a loss to Rampage Jackson, and you got Vanderlei Silva coming off his loss to Dan Henderson and his loss to Mirko Filipovic. So it's really, they're kind of at the same stage of their career, so the fight still makes sense. I'm just saying it's horribly late. This fight should have taken place so long ago, when Vanderlei Silva came down to the octagon and, with the famous "I want to fuck Chuck Liddell," corrected it to fight Chuck Liddell, but you know what I mean. How do I see the fight itself going? Maybe you get flamed for this, but I see Chuck Liddell winning it. No, I'm not a tough noob, but at the same time, I think if you leave yourself open, and the way Vanderlei Silva does, and if you don't think he leaves himself open, please watch his fights. He is open to that KO power that Chuck Liddell has, because he's a very berserk bonsai style. This is not to say he can't win. I think he's better on the ground, probably, at least. Well, actually, no, I've not really ever seen much offense out of Vanderlei Silva on the ground. Good defensive ground fighter, but not much in the way of offense. Chuck controls where the fight goes, and that's a big thing, because if he really does get in trouble, I think Chuck may actually shoot for a takedown this time. Now, Silva could overwhelm him with strikes. This is highly possible, but I don't think it's that likely. I think Chuck will be backpedaling, and Vanderlei will get too aggressive, and he'll do what a lot of people have done, and he'll get knocked out. And it's not good, because I honestly think Chuck has very little left in the gas tank. I ran down the other top fighters in my head, and I can't really think of many others he beat. I guess maybe Ricardo Arona would be maybe a guy, because I think Chuck is great at stopping the wrestler shoot, and that's what Arona likes to use, and Arona does leave himself open, and Sokoju proved he could be knocked out. Maybe him, but Little Nogueira, I think, even if a guy like Forrest Griffin can beat him at this point, I think, or Shogun, or obviously Rampage. Maybe not Dan Henderson, but I don't consider Dan Henderson a top 205er. This kind of goes back to my whole theory about just because you have the belt does not make you a top guy in the division. Kind of like why I don't think Matt Serra is really the top guy in the division. Now, if Serra comes out and dominates Matt Hughes, I think he earns that moniker, but that's about it. Gonna move to the UFC 78 main event. Bisping and Rashad Evans. That is apparently a #1 contender match, which is complete bullshit, because we have Rashad Evans coming off a draw with Tito Ortiz. In my personal opinion, had Tito not grabbed the fence, Rashad would have taken him down and pounded him. Probably won a decision, because I think he would have controlled the fight from that point on. I think that's what he needed. Rashad was so damn nervous in that fight, he just needed that kind of thing to calm him down, put him in his zone. But if this is indeed, I heard this from people in the Sick'em chat that this will be #1 contenders match between Evans and Bisping. Whereas Bisping, everyone knows my opinion on. I thought Manhamel won the fight with Bisping. I'll leave it at that. At the same time, Bisping's biggest win is probably on us, and people are going to question me on this, but it's probably Eric Schaefer. Now, people are going to say Hamill. Hamill is going to be a good fighter in the future, the way he's progressing. But at this moment, I think Schaefer's a bigger wing because Schaefer is more of a threat in terms of he's a better grappler than Hamill. He's not a better wrestler, but he's a better grappler. I think he is a better striker. I think Hamill actually just surprised Bisping with the fact that his strikes were even decent, and that's what kind of pushed him back. I mean, Hamill's striking didn't look that good. It just seemed to really catch Bisping off guard. Rashad Evans should win this fight. It's kind of been shown in the past that Bisping can be taken down, and he is pretty good at popping back up, but I think Evans is very, very good at keeping you down. I think he takes him down, he'll lay him praying, basically. Don't think he pounds him out. Bisping's a tough hombre, but probably wins unanimous decision. And goes on to fight Rampage, if that is indeed the case. It's a number 1 titles match, gets his ass kicked, because Rampage, a better striker than Evans. He's a bigger guy. I don't know if he's stronger. He's not a better wrestler. I mean, Evans is a very, very skilled wrestler. But I think he got stage fright against Tito, and I just can't imagine him not getting stage fright against Rampage for the title. That might be the thing that actually catches him out against Bisping. Even though I think Evans is a bigger name than Bisping, Bisping could come out and Evans could have stage fright again, and that could turn that fight completely different. Alright, away from the UFC, on to M1, which has recently announced that it is Sibling Entertainment that purchased it. This is a company with some pretty deep pockets. We'll see how much they're willing to, because I think they'll have to lose money before they make money. We'll see if they realize that, and if they're going to move on like that, and they're going to pour enough money into it to make it worthwhile. They're apparently going to work with a very small stable of fighters, about 8 shows a year. Monty Cox has been appointed president and CEO of the promotion. It's still based in Russia, but it'll probably have to go international, because I don't think you can make it a stable, not stable, but a money-making MMA organization in strictly Russia. I think you at least have to expand to the rest of Europe. And maybe a threat to the UFC down the road, but it's considerably down the road. They're talking about an alliance with Elite XC, using Elite XC's TV deal, of course, on Showtime, I believe it is. Yeah, it's Showtime. To get their brand out there, and having some cross-promotional matches with Elite XC. There's also some talks that they might do a deal with Mark Cuban and HDNet. And, Mark Cuban has a couple of HDNet fighters on the table. Amongst the best of them are probably guys like Pete Spratt. Also, there's a can't remember, Drew Fickett. TJ Waldenberger is actually a really good fighter. Maybe some people don't know about it, as is Matt Thompson. They also, of course, have the UFC veteran Justin Eilers, and they have the legendary Eric Paulson. You could do a couple of different matches with some of the talks of what M1's going to sign. M1 also apparently is offering the UFC champion $1 million plus their base pay to fight Fedor Emelianenko, and that'd be pretty cool. But of course, the UFC champion will never do that. I mean, Randy Couture might do that down the road when the UFC releases him, but I don't think Dana White will ever get past. He wants fighters to be exclusive and not fight anywhere else and all this. And of course, M1 has Fedor, which is a huge coup, because that's the #1 fighter in the world. And Dana White, I kind of dropped the ball. I think he was fighting an uphill battle, because I think Van Finkelstein had a lot to do with that. He's, of course, involved heavily in M1, used to run the promotion pretty much on his own. He's still with the company. He's probably going to take on some kind of advisor role. He'll probably see to it a couple of Red Devils get signed. But nonetheless, I would fault the UFC a lot less if they'd bowed to the whole combat ensemble thing. Because if Fedor had not taken that while it was on the table, and the money they were offering, at that point I would have said Fedor either needs new management, or he truly is ducking UFC heavyweight competition. Even though I think that actually people are going to really flame me for this, but the UFC heavyweight that might have the best chance of beating him is Tim Sylvia, not Randy Couture. Just because Tim has that reach, and Tim is a very strong man. The only opponent comparable to Tim he's fought is Semi Shield, but Semi's not particularly strong in the clinch. So, just my opinion. I'm running out of time here. I've only got about 10 seconds, so peace.